In Lesson 5.8, Day 2, we'll be calculating markups and discounts and figuring out selling prices. A markup is the amount the price of an item is increased above the price that the store paid for the item. A discount is the amount by which a regular price is reduced. Define the selling price. Example 3 says, a bead store buys beads at wholesale prices and then prices them to sell at a 75% markup. That means they're going to increase the price of the beads by 75% so they can make a profit. If a strand of beads costs the store $9.14, what is the selling price for the strand? Well, the first method would be to figure out the amount of the markup first. The amount of the markup is 75%, so you could go and calculate 75% of $9.14. It's about $6.86. That's how much they're going to increase the price by. So to find the selling price, they're going to take the $9.14 that they paid for it and add to that $6.86 that they're going to mark it up for a selling price of $16. Now that's the two-part way of getting to the answer. The shortcut method is that the customer is going to pay 100% of the cost of the beads plus another 75% increase or markup. So they're going to pay a total of 175% of the cost. So the percent, 175% is 1 75/100ths times the price that they paid for the beads. And you get right to $16. You don't have to do that added step of adding it on to the price that they paid because we already took that into account when we did 100% plus the 75%. You can choose whichever method you prefer. Not sure what I was thinking here, not leaving enough space to show the work. All right, so we're going to find the selling price for each item given the percent of markup. The first problem is a digital camera that's $120 and they're going to mark it up 55%. So you can either figure out 55% of the cost, which is 55/100ths times $120. You want to grab a calculator. 55/100ths times $120 is $66. So the price of the markup is $66, and we would have to add the 120 plus the 66. 120 plus 66 is going to give you the price that they're going to sell it for. Because they're going to sell it for what they paid plus the markup, so that's going to be $186. Now the shortcut method would be they're going to pay or sell it for 155% of what they paid for it because they're going to sell it for 100% plus a 55% markup. So 155% as a decimal is 1 55/100ths times 120. If you do it this way, you're going to get right to your selling price with that one step. And it should be the same as the other method, $186. They're going to sell it for $186. All right, next example. Sunglasses, they pay $7 to get them, and then they're going to turn around and sell them for 30% markup. So our first method would be to do 30% of $7. 30% is a decimal, multiplied by $7. That's going to be $2.10. If you used a calculator, it would have said 2.1 or 2 1/10, but you want to add the 0 since we're talking about money. So $2.10 is what they're going to increase it by. So $7 plus the markup of $2.10 means they're going to sell those sunglasses for $9.10. The shortcut method would be to go and say right away that they're going to mark it up 30%. So you are, as a customer, are going to pay 130% of the price, which would be 1.30 times the $7, which is $9.10. You can choose whichever way you would prefer to do the problem. Chengyu ordered a book that cost $24 from an online store. Her total with the shipping charge was $27. What was the percent of markup charged for shipping? This problem is a little bit different because we are trying to find the percent of markup. So this is actually like the previous day's lesson. We want to find the amount of change, 27 minus 24, and compare that to the original, which is $24. 27 minus 24 is 3, compared to the $24 for the price of the book. 3 divided by 24. Then we want to write it as a percent. 12.5% was the markup. The shipping was a 12.5% increase. Last example is to find the sale price. Now instead of markup, we're talking about a discount this time. So the CD Discount Superstore is advertising a 20% off sale. Jonas wants to buy a CD that originally cost $18.50. Find the sale price of the CD. Well, the first method is just to figure out how much he's going to save first. So 20% of $18.50, 20% as a decimal, times the cost of the CD. Means that he's going to save $3.70. If he's going to save $3.70, to find the sale price, we would then have to take the price of the CD, the $18.50, minus how much he's going to save, and that's going to be the sale price. The sale price is $14.80. Now, I often like to use the shortcut method when I'm trying to figure out how much I'm going to pay for something. If it's 20% off, I'm going to actually pay 80% of the price of the item because it would be the whole amount, or 100% minus 20%, which means I'm going to pay 80%. So the shortcut is to figure out 80%, 80% as a decimal, multiplied by the cost of the item, which is $18.50. If you take 80%, or 0.8 times $18.50, you are going to get right to the selling price of $14.80. You can pause the video and try the next two on your own. A CD is $14.50 and it's 10% off. If you want to use the first method, you would first calculate 10% of $14.50. 10% as a decimal looks like this, times the price. And you could use a calculator, or you might remember that 10% is 1/10, and that's dividing by 10, which means he's going to save $1.45. So you really just have to move the decimal one place to the left. Now, if he's going to save $1.45, That means to find the selling price, it's going to be $14.50 minus $1.45. $14.50 minus $1.45. That's going to equal $13.05. The one-step shortcut method, if it's 10% off, that means you're going to pay 90%. So 90% times the price, $13.05. If the sweater is $39.95 and it's 25% off, to find the selling price, you could figure out 25% of $39.95. So that's going to be about $9.99. We're going to add that on to the price of the sweater. $49.94. Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? We're not going to add that on. We're going to subtract that from the price because it is on sale. So $29.96. Now if you want to use the shortcut method, if it's 25% off, that means you're going to pay 75% of the price. So 75 hundredths times the price of $39.95. That should get you right to the final selling price of the sweater. Of $29.96.